upon the sun as the most magnificent habitable globe.
What's crazy to me is that these old primitive theories are somehow less crazy than the modern ones from people
like
that...
flat earthers and stuff?
Yeah, it's fucking wild. Like the conspiracies... You watched the latest Lamino video? Not yet. Actually, was planning on it, but then didn't last YouTube. This is about the Great Filter, right? It's not about the Great Filter. Oh, it's the Fermi Paradox for this one. Okay.
In the spring of 1806, two German astronomers were independently observing Venus when they noticed something odd.
Giant-titted aliens.
The hemisphere facing away from the sun did not perfectly blend with the blackness of space. Instead, it had a faint glow with a grayish-red or ashen-gray appearance. This ashen light resembled a phenomenon known as earthshine. It's when sunlight reflected by the earth faintly illuminates the night side of the moon. It seemed reasonable, therefore, to ascribe the ashen light to a similar cause, namely that sunlight reflected by a Venusian moon was faintly illuminating the night side of Venus. Only one slight problem: Venus doesn't have...
Oh, it was an invisible spaceship.
This meant the ashen light resembled Earthshine in appearance only because there was nothing in proximity of Venus to reflect any sunlight.
Yeah, Lamino
is amazing. In the words of famed astronomer William Herschel, those regions that are turned from the sun cannot possibly shine by a borrowed light. A few decades later,
I'll check it out,
another German astronomer, Franz von Grotthausen, proposed a rather creative solution to this mystery. The ashen light was the result of sweeping wildfires on the surface of Venus, deliberately ignited by its inhabitants. He believed that Venus was inhabited by a humanoid species who would periodically light fires on the surface.
What an interesting theory.
Which was either to clear land, to commemorate a religious occasion, or to celebrate the coronation.
Apparently we've been getting dumber because of lead, but look at where we came from.
Grotthausen did perhaps get a bit carried away, but he was far from the first to suggest that Venus was inhabited. Titans of astronomy like Christian Huygens and William Herschel envisioned all the planets, including Venus, to be teeming with life. And it took a long time for this romanticized image to fade. In 1916, this illustration appeared in American newspapers with the caption, "A remarkable drawing by Mr. Winsor McKay, illustrating the conditions of Venus as astronomical science now believes." Even well into the space age, we still find echoes
planet-wide exodus
perception.
They realized Huygens was onto them.
A Soviet spacecraft plunged into the clouds of Venus to attempt a landing on its surface. Well, the probe did not survive the descent. It was actually designed to float in case of a water landing. History is ripe with stories much like this one, largely forgotten stories that once upon a time promised to end our cosmic solitude. Lowell. Far from the diffused shadings reported by his peers, Lowell could discern a distinctive network of branching spokes. It is as if a bright veil of some sort were drawn over the whole disk. These spokes of Venus bore a striking resemblance to markings observed on both Mercury and Mars. The features on Mars were especially distinct and remarkably linear.
So someone was graffitiing them.
Lowell had been somewhat unimpressed by the spokes on Venus, but he became nothing short of obsessed with lineae on Mars. There are celestial sights more dazzling, spectacles that inspire more awe, but to the thoughtful observer who is privileged to see them well, there is nothing in the sky so profoundly impressive as these canals of Mars. Owing to their striking linearity, Lowell could reach but one conclusion: the Martian canals must be the workings of an intelligence. He carefully laid out his arguments in 3 lengthy books filled with these intricate maps.
He was a scam artist.
The Martian canals represented a vast irrigation network.
He's the original L. Ron Hubbard.
Melted ice water from the poles.
Man tried to make early Scientology.
While many were understandably skeptical, the idea that Mars could be inhabited was an extremely compelling one, perhaps even more so than Venus. Legendary science fiction author H.G. Wells famously wrote The War of the Worlds, a fictional story about the Martian invasion of Earth, first published in 1897. But a decade later, Wells published a speculative non-fiction article titled The Things That Live on Mars. Inspired by Lowell's fanciful interpretations, Wells goes on to envision the habitat, society, and appearance of real Martians.
Man, are you fucking dumb? You think the aliens would look like this? Using... What is this?
Does that one alien have, like, little flowers in her hair?
Yeah, I guess.
Cute girl, love the accessories.
They look like fucking sea monkeys. Like, there's no chance these guys would ever...
Is that their magic carpet? Is that how they get around?
I don't know. God only knows. I'm more interested in all, like, the weird tech. So they have water wheels, but also, like, these giant mega structures. So they're all over the place, honestly.
To Wells and many others, the existence of Martians was not just possible, it was probable. Indeed, to some, it had already attained a veneer of truth. In 1891, the French Academy... It had already attained a veneer of truth. In 1891, the French Academy of Sciences was bequeathed a sum of 100,000 francs by a wealthy Parisian widow. The money was to be awarded to the first person who found the means of communicating with another planet, with the notable exception of Mars, implying that communicating with Martians would have been far too simple of a challenge.
That's awesome.
Indeed, maps of the Red Planet published by the US military that very same year featured sprawling networks of canals.
Man, we're really blasting through the timeline here.
The alien factor,
The alien factor?
A towering Atlas Agena rocket is the launch vehicle that hurtles the Mariner into the heavens. Scientific apparatus on the Mariner will try to measure the density of the planet's atmosphere, and a television camera will seek to make photographs of its surface, giving man his first close-up look at Mars.
The American spacecraft Mariner 4 transmitted the first close-up photographs of the Martian surface in the summer of 1965.
Boo, Mars is boring.
Despite the complete absence of any linear markings, scientists at NASA were unwilling to give up hope.
Nothing positive concerning the existence or lack of canals can be concluded on the basis of the Mariner 4 photographs.
I mean, look at this. Not only is there a clear correlation between this sketch and this photograph of Mars, but you can almost see these barely perceptible lines snaking across the plains.
But what does that all mean?
The spokes on Venus, meanwhile, bear a curious resemblance to the inside of an eye. It appears that Lowell constrained the aperture of his telescope to such an extreme that the blood vessels inside his eye began to cast shadows,
I guess, if
some of which might have fallen onto Lowell's retina, creating the illusion of labyrinthine markings on distant worlds.
It is as if a bright veil of some sort were drawn over the whole disk.
What does this mean for the trout population? Good question.
Whether it was optical illusions, indistinct shadings on the planets, turbulence in the atmosphere, technological limitations, or an untempered willingness to believe, these networks of lines were merely figments of the mind. There is something incredibly tragic about these old misconceptions. I mean, there was a time not so long ago when life beyond meant life right next door. There's still hope of finding less complex forms of life on a select few planets and moons, which is very exciting, but also a far cry from a tropical Venus or an Ecumenopolis on Mars. As our knowledge of the universe continues,
I think it'd be so underwhelming if all we found was like a small little bacteria
cosmic neighbors
out in space. Can't even talk to it. Wouldn't even speak English.
By the mid-20th century, the Asian light had been observed by not dozens, but hundreds of observers, many of whom were as experienced as they were adamant of the phenomenon's existence. Despite this preponderance of eyewitness accounts, the lack of any empirical evidence attracted a fair amount of skepticism. In early 1643...
Holy shit, this... What? God damn it, it just scrolled up. Holy shit, this video is far off. How can people publish these lies? It's literally a history lesson. What do you mean? What do you think happened in history, I guess. What lies? That's a genuine question. I'm super curious. Because it's not like he's giving any, like, takes or anything, or misrepresenting it. It is literally the history of how astronomers once viewed Venus and the theories that came along with it. And he even cites the sources in the video. Even, like, let's say in, like, a far-off possibility that everything outside of Earth is CGI, it still wouldn't change that there's nothing being lied about in this video. It is still just a history lesson of what the astronomers were saying and how they arrived there. The history is cool, but the talk about aliens is far off, and we all know this. He was saying what the astronomers said. What are you talking about?
Exactly what an alien would say.
What the fuck? He was just saying, like, the astronomers believed that it was probable that there were aliens on Venus or Mars due to them seeing the ashen light as well as canals. Keep in mind, these are 200-year-old people. These are primitive. They're not as smart as you with the C+ and AP biology or whatever, but he's just going over, like, where it came from. Did you mean... Okay, maybe I misunderstood. It's fucking 5 a.m. Maybe I Do you mean the video creator, Lamino, or do you mean the old-timey people? Because maybe there's a disconnect. I thought you were talking about Lamino, but maybe you're talking about primitive man. The astronomers have learned over the years most of the stuff they learned wasn't correct. I enjoy the history of the video creator. Sorry. Even more... Yeah, I don't know. Old humans are dumb. Agreed. They don't even have Google. Like, fucking virgins.
Ritually witnessed a band of colors enveloping the disk of Venus. The night side was tinted greenish blue enclosed by a semicircle of light. Ritually ascribed the vivid colors to light being refracted inside his telescope, an effect known as chromatic aberration. In other words, Ritually thought the faint glow on Venus was an optical illusion.
Okay, so a quick aside, I managed to find an observation that to my knowledge has gone completely unnoticed and actually predates the one made by Ritually. A German priest and scholar named Athanasius Kircher wrote in 1660 that he too had observed a band of colors on Venus. No date was given, but Kircher did provide a location, Palermo, Sicily. Based on historical records, Kircher paid his last and only visit to Palermo in the spring of 1638. So Kircher observed the ashen light 5 years before Ritually and should thus be credited with its discovery. Okay, back to the video.
Ritually's doubts about the ashen light echo
rewrote history.
And by the 1900s, it was not uncommon for sightings to be dismissed as a mere trick of the eye, with no hard proof of its existence
and
a
beat up
lack
these
of
guys in a
concordance
fight.
between those who had seen it.
No shot. These old
to join the ranks
primitive
of myth
men were built for combat. Pugilists.
But in 1975, the Soviet spacecraft Venera 9 became the first to successfully orbit Venus. Diving into the shadow of this faded twin, it detected faint flashes of light emanating from the clouds below.
What's going on down there?
It's just gonna be aliens, I bet.
Venus and Mars have historically been the two prime candidates for cosmic neighbors, but the other planets have not gone completely ignored. Scottish astronomer James Ferguson had few reservations about life in the solar system. When it came to Mercury, for instance, Ferguson thought that Mercurians simply possessed greater resilience to heat.
It is very likely that the people on Mercury have the same opinion of us as we have of the inhabitants of Jupiter and Saturn, namely that we must be intolerably cold and have very little light at so great a distance.
If only you knew, Fergie.
Inspired by Ferguson's optimism, William Herschel took it a step further. In 1795, Herschel confidently announced that the inside of the Sun was home to an alien civilization. This might seem incredibly
so
bizarre, but at the time it was
like
not
Superman
uncommon to
when he
view the Sun as an enormous planet encased by a luminous atmosphere. Herschel expanded upon that idea by regarding sunspots as openings in this flaming shell that momentarily exposed the true surface underneath. This concealed surface was richly stored with inhabitants who were shielded against the immense heat by intermediate layers of clouds.
We have great reason to look upon the Sun as the most magnificent habitable globe.
What's crazy to me is that these old primitive theories are somehow less crazy than the modern ones from people
like
that...
flat earthers and stuff?
Yeah, it's fucking wild. Like, the conspiracies that we come up with now blow these old ones out of the water, despite the people having no reason to believe, like, any of it was not plausible.
I told you about that time I interviewed the guy who believed aliens lived on the moon. Up in, like, near Aberdeen, Scotland.
No, I don't think he said that.
He literally would take pictures from, like, you know how there's, like, Google Earth?
Yeah.
Google Moon images. Take a screenshot, put it in Photoshop, and use the high pass filter on it, which basically turns the entire image to all gray and then finds the edges, right? And then he would take that, do the high pass filter on it like 6 or 7 times so it would create like really hard edges and be like, do you see this? This is a map of the underground. Like, you can't see it unless you use this filter. And I wanted to be like, oh my God. But we were so scared we were going to die if we didn't finish the interview because the guy was a whack job. But we sat there for like 2 hours listening to this guy. And it was, yeah, you're right. People have some pretty interesting theories.
Maybe he was right, though. We haven't really checked for like underground railroad systems on the moon yet.
Whereas you and I see a barren landscape devoid of life, Hevelius espied upon the moon a near perfect copy of Earth. Mountains and valleys, rivers and lakes, swamplands and woodlands, islands and capes. This vivid interpretation
Photoshop
is
is far
ancient
more
belief
reliable.
that bright and dark patches delineate continents from oceans. In fact, this fallacy is still reflected in the nomenclature we use today. Dark plains on the moon all have aquatic names, such as the Ocean of Storms, the Lake of Dreams, and the Sea of Tranquility.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Though water never filled these gloomy basins, it's not entirely inaccurate to call them ancient seabeds, for they are the volcanic scars left behind by vast oceans of molten rock, making the Lake of Death.
How can you
an
explore other
especially
galaxies
apt
but
name.
can't explore the rest of the ocean?
While Hevelius never observed any creatures on the moon,
aliens
its
are in the
subjective
ocean.
resemblance to the
That's
Earth
for sure.
convinced him that
I always
Lemurians
liked that
must
idea in
exist,
Pacific Rim, that
a
in the
conviction
deep
still
ocean
being
there's just
upheld more than a
fucking
century
aliens.
later by who else if not William Herschel.
I mean, just-
Herschel nearly convinced himself that the cratered landscape of the moon had been engineered by its inhabitants. Craters or circuses were not the remnants of violent impact events, but skillfully constructed towns and cities. While Herschel obsessed over circular dwellings, astronomers like Franz von Gröthesen espied habitats of all shapes and
I thought you were
sizes.
about to try and say it.
This
No, he
star-like
said it. It sounded
structure
awesome.
appears to be a
Franz von
conical
Gröthesen.
temple, and because of its star shape,
Fucking
perhaps
awesome.
it is dedicated in service to the stars. The circle in the south, the 2 highest mountains in the north, and the 2 hills in the southwest are natural objects, but it is highly probable that these embankments serve as the dwellings of
Elusive beauty.
sentient beings on the moon.
In reality, Gröthesen mistook some oddly shaped terrain for intelligent design.
Oh.
The increasingly speculative nature of these extraordinary claims
Mistake that could
culminated
happen
in
to
a
anyone.
truly incredible sighting by John Herschel, the son of William Herschel.
Whilst gazing upon a rock formation on the moon, we were thrilled with astonishment to perceive 4 successive flocks of large winged creatures. They were like human beings. Their wings possessed great expansion and were similar in structure to those of the bat.
So he just
The moon was
fucking-
evidently home
he's just
to
lying.
species of
Now he's just
walking
lying.
and flying man-bats. This was a truly profound, if not bemusing, discovery, not just for the world, but also for John Herschel. Because upon being inquired about this remarkable find,
Those look like the monkeys
John
from
responded
Wizard
with
of Oz.
confusion. He had no knowledge of any
Jesus Christ.
man-bats on the moon. It turns out the story had been fabricated by an American journalist named Richard Locke. Locke had sought to lampoon the often frivolous debate about life in other worlds, perpetuated by the likes of William Herschel and Franz von Gröthesen. Instead, the great moon hoax of 1835 convinced thousands around the world that the moon was inhabited by bat-like humanoids, unicorned bison, bipedal beavers, as well as, well, storks
Yeah.
and goats. There's also this image of a man-bat besat the flat upon the back of a fellow man-bat televacked by a pack of man-bats. As to why this guy is copping a whiff, history has declined to answer.
I don't know. It's a pretty cool fucking picture, though. I wish those aliens were on the moon. Bro, if those aliens were on the moon, there'd be
As time
no
went on
doubt
and
people would be
telescopes
just
improved,
like
it became
killing them
increasingly difficult
relentlessly.
to argue in
Just
favor
because they
of the
don't
moon's
like the way they
habitability.
look.
With
Fucking
no
sniffing
apparent
buttholes and
atmosphere,
shit.
this dry and barren wasteland seemed an improbable abode for life as we know it. But by the mid-19th century, the life debate had been resurrected by a new hypothesis about the shape of the moon. The argument was that gravitational forces had stretched the moon into the shape of an egg. This uneven distribution of mass meant that any atmosphere or fluids would have coalesced on whichever side was closer to the center of gravity. If that happened to be the far side of the moon, an argument could be made for its habitability. As one author put it, though the near hemisphere is a lifeless desert, having neither water nor air to sustain life, the hidden hemisphere may have a teeming population. Among the proponents of this radical hypothesis was none other than John Herschel. An egg shape would fully account for the total absence both of air and of water on the side of the moon turned towards us, and would be quite compatible with the abundant existence of both.
You gain immunity from shit by licking ass.
Ew.
Had history played out differently, perhaps we'd be dealing with egg mooners instead of flat earthers.
The more ass you lick, the less hurt you are by shit.
While skeptics made quick work of the egg-shaped moon hypothesis, far-side inhabitants could not be so easily dismissed. After all, the far side of the moon is unseeable from Earth, and thus ripe for speculation.
Well, then I subjected them to a spectrographic analysis. It's dust. A great amount of radioactive dust.
Larry, what you're saying is that somehow, for some reason, the moon has been encircled by a ring of highly radioactive dust?
Something's going on the other side of the moon, the invisible side.
This is
something that we ought to know about.
By placing aliens on the far side of the moon, early science fiction authors were able to skirt the line of plausibility.
Oh, you're talking about Moonfall.
To conceal their presence and perhaps observe humanity from a distance, this cosmic blind spot was the perfect hiding place. At least, that was the opinion of famed American astronomer Carl Sagan. It is not out of the question that artifacts or even some kind of base is maintained within the solar system.
Did he really say that? That doesn't seem like anything he would ever believe.
Of the far side of the moon in late 1959, when the Soviet spacecraft Luna 3 relayed these images back to mission control. Subsequent missions
Moon is just hiding her pussy on the other side.
But alas, reveal nothing but more moon. But this idea of concealment lingers to this day. Many are still holding out hope that somewhere in the solar system, the ruins or technology of some unknown intelligence lie waiting to be found.
God, I hope that's accurate.
In 1988, the Soviet Union launched a probe known as Phobos 2. As the name implies, part of its mission was to investigate the Martian moon, Phobos. The probe arrived at Phobos without any major complications, and in late March of 1989 began preparations to plant 2 instruments onto its surface. But then, contact with Phobos 2 was lost. In the weeks and months that followed, rumors began to circulate. Puzzling features and shadows were said to be visible on some of the final images transmitted by Phobos 2, the nature and origin of which supposedly defied explanation. Through various articles, conferences, and television programs, these images were gradually unveiled to the public. They appear to depict an unidentified craft in orbit around Mars. It was said to be an alien spaceship that had attacked and disabled Phobos 2. Not only that, but it cast an enormous elliptical shadow upon the surface of Mars.
Okay, that's interesting.
The Eye of Sauron, eh?
Но эта тень появилась действительно неожиданно, и что это такое, мы сразу не поняли. И, наверное, не очень хорошо обратили на это внимание, потому что дальше она опять, увидите, продолжается в виде полосы такой.
То есть это не предмет, висящий над поверхностью, а это, видимо, тень все-таки на поверхности планеты?
Наверное. Потому что, то есть это не полностью перекрывается, так сказать, сигнал от поверхности Марса.
Это похоже на ракету, взлетающую из поверхности Марса, и после которой еще остается импрессионный след. Как вы к этому относитесь?
Но если дать волю фантазии, то, конечно, можно найти и такие объяснения. Но мы склонны видеть совершенно реальные, хотя, может быть, еще до конца не объясненные обстоятельства, которые породили вот такой вот след. Скорее всего, это все-таки тень от какого-то объекта на поверхности, потому что сквозь тень просвечиваются элементы поверхности.
Raw data from the Phobos 2 mission became readily accessible. The unidentified craft looked an awful lot like an overexposed transmission artifact.
Oh.
In fact, all the infrared images featured the same white streak.
Yep. God damn it.
Meanwhile, the elliptical shadow belonged to Phobos. Its elongated shape was due to multiple scans or photographs being taken in sequence before assembling the final image. Stories like the Phobos incident have become rather par for the course. Some initial event or discovery leaves an information vacuum which is immediately filled by fantastical speculation.
Yeah,
a
the
printing
speculation
artifact
is
becomes
always
a tower on the
fantastic.
moon. The happenstance of light and shadow begets a human face on
It's
Mars.
fucking cool.
And these prominent boulders
Sequel
on both
Panda.
Mars and Phobos conjure images of a certain Stanley Kubrick film. Whether you're
Yeah,
an
what if they're just
amateur
really
or
short
professional,
aliens?
have no experience or decades worth, you're never quite immune to this kind of
They just live in the
self-deception.
rocks.
When you
would
want
probably
something
need
to be
be a
true,
little bit
it can
shorter to
be
live on the
deceptively
moon because
easy
we're, like,
to
not
convince
as
yourself
much gravity,
that it
you
is.
know?
Yeah.
Remember that prize money, the
Yeah.
100,000 francs
that's science
offered to
somewhere
anyone
in
who
there.
discovered a means of
Yeah.
communicating with another planet, excluding Mars. Well, in 1937, there was a claim on that prize. The claimant was none other than world-renowned inventor Nikola Tesla.
He died a virgin.
In 1899,
He fucking died
Tesla
a
had been
virgin, what an
experimenting
idiot.
with wireless radio communication.
Stupid fucking virgin.
During some of those experiments, he picked up some rather odd transmissions. Although I could not decipher
Exhibits,
their
Coco.
meaning,
Sleep
the
well.
feeling is constantly growing in me that I have been the first to hear the greeting of one planet to another. A purpose was behind these electrical signals. Tesla described the signals as a repeating sequence of either 3 or 4 pulses. Decades later, Tesla was still convinced that he'd received an interplanetary message and had even deduced its origin. The signals consisted in a regular repetition of numbers, and subsequent study convinced me that they must have emanated from Mars. I believe the Martians used numbers for communication because numbers are universal. Then, in 1937, Tesla
know.
announced his plans to unveil
Aliens
a
could
new
use something that aren't
technology
numbers.
capable of not just interplanetary, but interstellar communication. With such impressive technology at hand, Tesla felt confident that he'd soon be awarded the 100,000 francs. I intend to claim the Pierre Gussman Prize. I am just as sure the prize will be awarded to me as if I already had it in my pocket. They have got to do it. They didn't do it. The prize was instead awarded to the crew of Apollo 11 in 1969. As for the alleged message from Mars, well, we don't really know. While Earth was much quieter back in 1899, it was still far from radio silent.
Wow, that's a cool noise. Shit. That one sucks. It just sounds like wind. Jupiter's cringe. Get off the air. Hate this radio station. Just sounds like footsteps. Boo!
Footsteps. They're coming closer to us.
Yeah,
Who
boo.
knows?
Fuck 'em.
Perhaps it was nothing but the rumbling noise of a distant thunderstorm. Upon sailing into the shadow of Venus in 1975, Venera 9 detected faint flashes of light. The emissions were broadly consistent with lightning, but it's a matter of interpretation. Data gathered by subsequent missions are likewise consistent with Venusian thunderstorms, yet fall short of any conclusive evidence. Presuming that lightning does occur on Venus, could it explain the ashen
I
light?
don't think it
Well,
could.
it's been
The
estimated
only
that
explanation
the
for
night
the
side of
ashen
Venus
light
would
is
need
a
to maintain a
highly
rate of
advanced
some 1,000 lightning
civilization
strikes
of
per
aliens.
second to yield a glow
Perhaps
that's
even using
visible
Mass
from
Effect
Earth.
relays to
That's more than
travel.
20 times the mean rate on Earth, and would likely have been observed a
I
long
think
time ago.
Yugen was correct
In the blunt words
initially.
of another paper, lightning is not acceptable
Or was
as
it
an
Herschel?
explanation for the ashen light. But in certain parts of the world, there is another striking phenomenon illuminating the night sky.
Aurora
These
Borealis.
vibrant curtains of light are the result of charged particles subjected by the sun
But it
colliding
is
with the
cool.
Earth's magnetic field. Could something akin to
These
the
are some
Northern
starlight.
Lights be responsible for the ashen
I've
light?
been scammed.
Aurorae have
Yeah.
indeed been observed on
It's also
planets like
encouraged
Jupiter
carbon
and
dioxide,
Saturn, so
Okay, so maybe
it
it's
might
good.
seem like an obvious solution. What makes it not so obvious is that the magnetic field around Venus is virtually non-existent. It is extremely weak and transient and is generated by a completely different process than here on Earth. In spite of this, when caught in the
recent
path of
Kathy.
a solar storm, Venus has in recent years been observed to glow.
That's fucking awesome.
The underlying mechanism of this glow is still poorly understood, but there is an apparent link between solar activity and diffused emissions of light on the night side of Venus. According to author John Barentine, who's written the definitive book on the subject, the data are inconclusive, but there are hints in this figure that something is indeed up. The apparent spike in the number of ashen light sightings in the 1950s correlates with one of the strongest solar maxima of the past 250 years.
Okay, so we're getting somewhere. As
While all of
Wi-Fi
this
signals
sounds quite
increase, so
promising,
too does
it's a bit
the
too
maxima.
early to celebrate. Nothing conclusive
I
has
think
been
is what
found,
he's
and
saying.
despite many attempts to do so, the ashen light has never been recorded on camera. Until that happens, this nearly 400-year-old mystery remains in limbo. Should it be ascribed to the atmosphere of Venus or the mind of the observer? Perhaps we should have listened to Giovanni Riccioli from the very beginning. Perhaps it is nothing more than a convincing illusion.
Yeah, I think it's an illusion. I don't believe in anything. Ever.
At all.
The search for
Nothing.
cosmic neighbors continues. Many scientists now believe that both Venus and Mars used to resemble Earth in the distant past. Perhaps a relict biosphere or the remnants of a once teeming population can still be found in Venusian clouds or Martian soil. There's mounting evidence that the Jovian moons Europa, Ganymede and Callisto, along with Enceladus and Titan of Saturn,
Man, I've
all
heard
host
none
a
of those.
vast subglacial ocean.
These are all moons.
Could resilient microbes or even larger organisms have found a way to thrive beneath the frozen crusts?
Stuff.
Even if Earth should prove the sole harbor of life within the solar system,
That's something I've looked at. Apparently cryogenic sleep would never work because even when you're frozen, like you'd never unfreeze successfully. Like all the neurons and shit in your brain
They're
would
still
be
dead.
they'd be like brittle and break or something.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly what, but they could freeze you. You would
Just not resuscitate.
yeah, you'd never come back.
Yes.
At least with like current technology.
Yeah.
every dot in the night sky has the potential to host another.
Telescope,
Always remember that if at first you don't understand, it's definitely aliens.
God, nothing but bangers from Lamino. Yeah, he always does really well done videos. He spends months on them. Yeah, no, he spends a lot of time on them. You need special proteins like frogs have that don't allow ice crystals to form quickly. Those are the ones that fuck you up. Yeah, they like burst all your cells or something, right?
That's interesting. So maybe witches were on something. Frogs, stews, everything.
Maybe. All I know is we're not there yet.
And a frog man.
Maybe we could find a different way of preserving, like formaldehyde. Just like dumping people in formaldehyde chambers, and they wake up all gooey and yucky but alive. Can we pickle humans? See, someone gets it. I bet with enough dedication and resources, we could find a way to like actually pickle humans. Cryogenic sleep is currently unattainable.
Yeah, what would be the other? So pickling, maybe?
Yeah, pickling, probably.
But pickling means like adding a bunch of salt. Wouldn't that kill you?
No. Like you could just,
could you get-
you could epoxy. You could even use there's a hot dog that's been alive for like 2 years now,
Yeah.
trapped in epoxy. I'm sure it'd work the same for a human.
But
Well, yeah, but that's why with the epoxy, we'll mix in with like ice cubes or something.
oh, okay, yeah.
So it's not like extreme enough to. Emo nerd smashes his room playing Step Mania. What a title. Sounds like one of those old fake videos. It absolutely is. 12 years ago, this shit is definitely going to be fake. Thanks for sub Logan and Aurora. Look up Dude Stop Me, Let Me Go. I'll check it out in a sec. I actually researched this story. It's real. I found the rage.
Fucking what to do to this monitor. God, like...
Well,
I can't get a comfortable spot for my right hand. At all. Like,
it was like he was a bully throwing the new recruit up against the lockers in the locker room.
The wall behind my fucking computer wasn't broke till I got this monitor. Now it's completely fucked to shit.
Yeah, the monitor really ruined that wall. Oh, speakers in the way.
Get the fuck out of here.
Okay, yep, get that shit out. The speakers are just being real assholes. There's still a speaker on the desk. Get that shit out. Oh, nice. That should help. There we go.
Oh, yeah. Look what I did. Oh, fucking well.
We have plenty of space to run it, I'd say.
Looks like I'm retired.
Well, I mean, not forever. You can get another monitor. But it might be best if you did completely retire.
Just do that.
For your own mental health and like the safety of all drywall.
Video. Now I'm permanently playing Setmania. You know, got my fucking life bar, score, made a fire, key setup or some shit. I don't even know what the fuck that is.
Is your enjoying
Shortcuts or now I need a new monitor. Like, I probably shouldn't even play again, because shit like this will just happen again. Like, look, fucking that, fucking, like,
Jesus.
the rest of my fucking room. Oh, I should probably fucking quit this game. Look, I fucking put my head through my wall.
It's like a warthog came in here and just went wild. Holy shit. And this is real? Well, I guess, I mean, the holes in the wall.
Fucking that.
There's definitely a level of self-awareness there. I don't know how he did this one, though. This one's on the ceiling. He must have, like, thrown his monitor up like LeBron James with the chalk before a big game.
Yeah, I'm like, look, fucking that.
Hold on, I want to see the other one here.
Fucking that.
Ooh.
Fucking, like, the rest of my fucking room. Oh,
How do you even make these tiny holes, the little glory holes? What was he doing, like poking his fingers through it? I guess cords, maybe?
Oh, I should probably fucking quit this game. Look, nice. I fucking put my head through my wall.
You said you researched this and it's real. So, give me the backstory. Now I'm very curious. Scrolled through a shit ton of old Stepmania forums to read about this. He made this video to show how much the game stresses him out, and thankfully he quit for his own well-being. He did eventually come back on Twitch a few years ago though, but yeah, this was real. Yeah, posted to dig and break College Humor and Spike. What a time capsule. Play on Elden Ring Rage? Sure. Well, that's not Rage at all. Okay, what the fuck was that intro?
You gotta think about it logic.
What the fuck? Bro, what a fucking crazy intro. Is that all they do, is compile, like, rage moments? Yeah. Thoughts on Better Call Saul so far? Oh, it's been great. I've been really enjoying Better Call Saul. It lives up to the hype. It's not better than Breaking Bad, though, I'll tell you right now. Let's watch the new Life of Luxury.
It's right for us to get involved with this girl stalker.
Who are you? Oh, no.
She looked messed up. I think she came from the woods.
Why do you keep bringing up the woods?
Because I think there's something dangerous out there. Watch out!
Oh, God!
Dude, just drop it. We're trying to focus on what's going on inside of this house.
Wait, so those, like, shadow hands are, like, actually the hero. Damn, this one's got a lot of effort putting into it. They've got like practical effects out the wazoo.
Hello, Luck. We received an email from a girl named Olivia who thinks she has a stalker staying outside of her
They become
house.
very self-aware.
She feels unsafe
Very
because she currently
interesting.
lives alone because all of her roommates recently went missing. She also says that often when she looks outside at night, she sees a creepy looking old lady in the woods.
Oh god. She doesn't even look old. That didn't even sound like bones cracking. Sounded like a fish.
So tonight we're going to drive to Olivia's house and
Is
try
this
to
real?
find out
It is
who's
actually.
been stalking her.
I read about it in the paper.
First,
Yo, everyone, look at that nerd.
Oh, it's gonna be like a merch plug? He's a Prime RXC and the Risa Black Dick.
hey kid, if you want to stop dressing like a nerd, just order some luxury merch.
Luxury merch?
It's the new official Life of Luxury and Luxury Dark merch. It has premium material and terrifying design. Just go to luxurydark.tv to buy it or click the first link in the description.
Well, I'm sold. These resub 50 Shades of Moose. God, this is going on for a long time.
luxurydark.tv to buy luxury merch or click the first link in the description. I don't think it's right, but Olivia's all alone right now and scared.
So I don't see how her being scared is our problem. Dude, just admit that you're attracted to her.
Okay, yeah, I mean, from her photos, she's clearly an attractive girl. But I don't understand how her appearance could affect my decision to help her.
Right.
Those pictures go kind of hard. That's very aggressive. Yeah, it seems like they've become very self-aware.
Pull over. Pull over.
This doesn't seem like they're trying or anything to be convincing.
Bro, this area looks sketchy. We're in the middle of the woods.
Dude, it's alright. Let's just go inside.
Too self-aware? Yeah, too self-aware, I would agree. I'll give it another quick chance, though. Oh, wow.
Chester, come on. What are you doing? We gotta go.
Bro, there's a girl here.
Just a coincidence, I'm sure.
Dude, come on.
Dude, what is she doing there?
I feel like they were always self-aware. Maybe, but I feel like the first one we watched from them with the he keeps growing at night or whatever seemed like a legitimate attempt to make like a horror short. But now it's obviously very self-aware and just meant to be silly. I'm more just curious if the girl that they have to play this part here is actually the girl in those photos. Oh.
Hi, we're here for Olivia. Is she
Well,
home?
that answers that.
Yeah, I'm Olivia. I catfished you.
Fuck.
Dude, what's going on?
Sir, listen.
Bro, these
we just
storylines are
drove
getting
all the
wild
way
now.
here for Olivia. Is she here or not?
Nah, she's not here. I'm Olivia. I catfished you.
Dude, this is weird.
Is this some type of trick?
No, listen. I think I'm being stalked by this weird old lady. I need you guys' help. Just come in.
He kind of looks like Joji. Hey, fuck yeah. Nice. Well, they're leaning into the self-awareness. That's good. It's always good when someone becomes self-aware. Not Darman, though. True, not Darman. That ruined it. Too self-aware. The amount of views stuff like this gets are wild to me. Yeah, usually if you make content geared towards either family-friendly or kids, it's going to pop off. Let's see. Where is it? It'd be like, what, 2 weeks old? Oh, no. Yeah, there it is.
I'll have you guys know before this video starts that I'm 37% Spanish. I spit into a 23andMe tube and found this out. And my grandpa lives in Madrid, and I'm fluent. Hablamos español. So let's get into it. We're talking today about the English versus Spanish-speaking streamers.
I had a great time in Texas.
War brewing, and it all started from Disguised Toast's Rust server. There's a lot of big names, XQC on the English-speaking side, and also a lot of big Spanish-speaking streamers like Alex, Babai, that are huge people. And it's no secret that Spanish-speaking streamers are bigger.
Yeah, this happened like 2 weeks ago, I think.
The guy is only growing. So this was supposed to be a cool event, bringing everyone together. Ended up being a giant shitstorm. And I didn't think I needed to talk about this because I thought it would dissipate, but the beef is still going today. This is a Spanish-speaking streamer's Twitter account, Recoy, who is mocking Coconut B.
Hey, that's the guy we just saw in the Toast video. He was the one that got the first kill. I actually recognized this section here. I didn't realize the name until now. Yeah, this guy went on a huge malding spree on Twitter.
Behind Coconut B's profile picture with what looks like the crying emoji and made this, and that's his profile picture now. He just made that. It's like 3 days since the event ended. But let's get into some context. The event was a 48-hour Rust server that cost like hundreds of thousands of dollars to produce, not just including prize pool, but just having enough Twitch staff to run it all together. It's a really big project. Also why I couldn't be a part of it, because it was a Twitch project. So anyway, that was the idea, and it was 48 hours total. The first 47 hours you kill people, you get points for killing people, and then at the last hour you can raid bases and do mass chaos. Amazing content. Whoever has the most points at the end gets money, and that's it. That's the idea. Pretty fucking simple. But it went to shit,
and a pretty cool
really
idea too.
Fast. Now it's gonna get a little nerdy here, but bear with me. It started out with a simple rule. You can't raid each other's bases until the final hour. Knowing that the big bad wolf was not allowed to huff, puff, and blow it down, so the little piggies could run any material they wanted. They didn't have to get custom with any bricks today. So that's what they did. And inevitably, at some point, a bullet hit the thing, and they got kind of upset about that. And so, you know, they were like, okay, now we can't shoot them. And it was kind of a cheesy but also smart tactic. But the American streamers got around it because they basically used ladders to get into the base without breaking anything and stole some loot. Now, this was done without breaking or maybe raiding, but the Spanish streamers were like, oh, okay, that's cringe. That shouldn't be allowed. So the admins got involved. They set new rules. Okay, now you can't enter the square. Stop, don't touch me there. Everyone has a 15 by 15 no-no square, and you can't invade it at all. That was the rules. Everyone was happy with it. And then the Spanish streamers immediately broke the rules. Maybe it was a bit of revenge because they didn't get like all of their loot back from the Americans coming in. They're like, this is real dumb. And so it was
this feels like normal Rust.
But they broke the rules that were just made. And so then the admins are like, okay, look, you have to return this stuff and we'll reset again. The whole story kind of feels like one of those adults at a playground, and they have to be like the arbiter for the kids. And you'd be like, oh, Timmy, please return the doll that you stole and say sorry. But it kept fucking happening. Like, Timmy kept stealing the goddamn doll, and shit kept happening. So the admins were getting involved a lot early on, and there was mostly drama from the event. And
that's all I know from it.
Arguments on people being allowed to use certain pistols and basically trying to define the rules and not actually just play the game and have great content and interactions with people that you rarely ever get to interact with.
Like the leader, like they're not, dude. This is the fucking prediction I have for tomorrow's event. Tomorrow, I predict that this tournament tournament's gonna end.
Oh, regular old Nostradamus.
I feel like we're gonna be ahead on points, and they'll leave, not even see this entire thing through.
Well, turns out, morning of the final day of the event, the captain of the Spanish team, Alex, who has 6.4 million Twitter followers, giant streamer, tweeted a Twitter thread that translates basically to, hey, thanks for the invite. There's a lot of bullshit going on, like Coconut B. I'm not very good at Rust, so I have to look to my players. They weren't supposed to be using a certain pistol early on, which turns out that everyone was allowed to use pistols at any point. The primitive rule wasn't actually a rule, but everyone was abiding by it anyway, but a minor note. And then they stole a helicopter and didn't return it, which, you know, fair. That sounds annoying. That sounds frustrating.
Yeah, Tiana's watching
and a bunch of bullshit happened. So here's the thing. they're not respecting us because this is all an American event and the Americans make the rules. It's on American servers. So we, the Spanish, aren't going to play. And they quit. They quit right there. Now, this wasn't unprecedented. The prediction kind of was obvious because they had gone on strike. They were almost trying to leverage that they were half the event. So if they weren't playing in the event and they didn't get the rules they wanted, then the event wouldn't proceed. You just have to agree to do it. And if people break it, you're like, fuck, this sucks.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to
all
Ark.
the power that you would like.
All survival games are somewhat similar. They share the same DNA.
Part of this is these tweets are in Spanish because I am Spanish. And thanks again for Toast. No drama with him. Okay. You know, finale. It's supposed to be a cool raid. It's supposed to be nice. And look, if that was everything that happened,
it'd be pretty boring.
That's okay. Like I would say, hey, play it out just because it's better content, and I think content is key. As king. I would rather lose and be the punching bag for someone else to win and have better overall content than no content at all. But I understand a bit.
I am an American and I love oil.
Being a captain and not being good enough that you want to continue through the rules.
All right.
But there were Spanish streamers, including Alex, who were also super inappropriate.
It was very American.
There were a lot of viewers that are inappropriate, but when the captains, when the streamers are saying fucked up shit, then it's harder to defend. And this is Recoy, who is the same guy who's making fun of Coconut B.
Yeah, this guy was really fuming.
Profile picture, just typing a slur into chat, and Alex, the captain of the Spanish stream, the big Spanish streamer, being like, "Oh, what's the R word?" And then they type in the N word, not actually typing it out fully, but like they're joking that, hey, this isn't a slur. Oh, you're talking about the R word. You mean this, and then typing the letter N, implying the N word, which you like. It's not done from a place of like, hey, this is a fun little bit. Let's do that. Even if they would like, even if they're trying to come up with a shitty joke and you're trying to give the benefit of the doubt and it's a shitty joke, it's from a place of animosity when they were beefing with English streamers, which I think that added context makes this a little more uncomfortable. We thank all the creators for their time and viewers watching, and then they want to make good events. We understand. We're listening to the community.
What's the drama about?
We wanted. We
Spanish streamers thinking the Americans are cheating.
LATAM and NA communities in future events, and that's it.
Oh, that it was rigged against them.
And a lot of NA streamers were pretty sad. Here's a clip. Wendy Natsumi, one of the streamers on America's side, stayed up for like 48 hours. I'll let Hannah take it away.
It's like, even though like no one forced Wendy to be on for 48 hours. That's incredible. Like, Wendy is a godsend. Like, no one. Oh, rip Wendy. Wait, is that her? Oh, no.
Dude,
no one.
It reminds me of Pixel Place. You're talking about our place.
Yeah. They really caught up about this. You know, the whole internet was trending up in arms for the English speakers. But I think Mendo, one of the English-speaking streamers who played the longest, right?
No, I never watched the actual conclusion to all the drama.
And this is what he had to say. I thought it was pretty poignant.
Stand by those fucking words 100%. It is spineless, it is childish, and I cannot believe that actually happened with a set of streamers that are grown adults when they call us 14-year-olds. The fucking racist chat hoppers that fuck up everyone in my team, my teammates, the people that have never played before, saying racist shit like eat your dogs, go back to the kitchen to the women that are playing.
Yeah, tell your truth, Mendo, yeah.
Get banned. I know the streamers are not doing actively anything to stop this. And
God damn, throwing it down.
Spineless shit too. I cannot believe that grown adults act like them.
Words I could not agree more with. I had the same exact problems when I was doing Rust with XQC because he would say something like Ludwig's being a rat and then I'd have a million people in my chat when I was a smaller streamer than I am today. And it was fucking annoying and I would get mad at X, say the same things. And it sucks when, you know, any streamer's doing it. And it seemed like the main people doing it in this event were the Spanish streamers. And it's kind of a bummer. It's kind of a bummer that it was a bad first integration from all the communities, because I think a lot of the
wasn't really the first. To be fair, our place did it first, right? Wasn't the Twitch drama? I think it happened. The Rust event happened a week after our place. Well, I think, wasn't it? Yeah. So our place, we had already clashed. We had already kind of butted heads a bit. Got a little wacky in the Thunderdome, and that was good, I guess.
Are fucking dope. Most of them are. You know, almost all of them are. And make super awesome content.
Our place was more than just Twitch.
And there's nobody, I've always said this, that I look up to more than Ibai right now. Maybe Germa. I mean, Germa's cracked, but that's doing it the way I think you should be doing streams. And so it's a bummer that
Ibai
this
stream slap.
melding of communities was such a flop. It's tough, but at the end of the day, it just felt like there was so much animosity, and it came from a lot of the leadership on the Spanish side team. Not everybody. Some people had great interactions.
Yeah, true. Alex B's like 11 tweet long rant was pretty
embarrassing. But the leadership on the Spanish streamer side, I feel like kind of ruined this event to some extent. And maybe there could have been more effort done beforehand to ensure that it was more fair and that they were okay with the rules before signing up. I can't imagine streamers do that much due diligence before signing up for events. But maybe that's what we should be doing so this doesn't happen again in the future. Anyway, sad for streamers. That's the drama of the week. And I'll let Toast finish it off because I think he really encapsulated it the best.
I thought there was more to it, but it looks like I pretty much understood all of it beforehand.
Hi, Toast. I authorized shifter on all the...
Nice. Yeah, I thought there was so many more layers to it, but yeah, I guess they just really lost their fucking minds overall.